Alright then. So, another movie that it was supposed to be in movie theaters this season, and now because of the situation that we were in, we're gonna have to watch it on demand. You know what? Let me give this little rant. $20 again? God damn it! And you know what? To buy a movie, it costs $24. What's the difference? What's the difference? And God, I mean, we're only. I mean, what we're buying, we're renting. Actually, renting is technically the full price of basically a movie that we just want to buy. And so there is no difference. Not even and you know what? Movie theaters technically cost $18, and that's because we have a bigger screen. We got air conditioner or heat, whatever the situation it is. We got concessions. They also have to pay for the employees. They do have better seats. And they have better soundtrack, so it makes sense why it costs $18. But no, $20 to rent a movie in which we're just stuck in this dinky place, and because we have no choice, it's outrageous. And you know what? Also, you know why Trolls World Tour was a success, and it amassed a lot of money? Because bullshit. It charges them $20. It's $20 for every single people that they just want to buy it. So it's unfair. There. Rant is over. Okay then. So what we're gonna watch this time? Well, it's Scoob. The latest Scooby Doo movie. I gotta be honest. When I was a kid, obviously I was into Scooby Doo. I watched the show a lot of times. I kind of began to like it, but unfortunately Scooby Doo is one of those series that it didn't grow on me as time went on. And I began to realize why usually the Scooby Doo franchise was mostly used more as a cash cow more than genuine love to the art. Although don't get me wrong, there is still some charm on the series. It's just that I didn't get too much into it, because when you watched the original series, you were like, man, honestly, Scooby Doo is kind of bland and kind of dumb. But okay, it's not exactly, you know, something that I just want to go too much into it. I get the charm. I get, you know, the how many people make fun of, you know, a group of stoner teenagers that are technically representative of the era in which it was created, and of course they're big old dog. But yeah, I do still have a soft spot for Scooby Doo, except the movies. I really hate the movies, and the direct-to-video movies are. I haven't seen almost none of it because, well, I wasn't too much into it. I technically am not into it. That most of the character designs are really blandly expressive. There's not much you can do with the designs of Scooby Doo, unless you are into when they push a little bit. This is why the spin-off series, A Pup Named Scooby Doo, I like it a lot better than the original. And for a certain degree, the last one in which Joseph Barbera was alive. The Scooby and Shaggy Gets a Clue also had a little bit of, they push a little bit of the Scooby Doo formula, because the Scooby Doo formula is always technically the same. there is a mystery because some dude who dressed up as a ghost. They find out the mystery, even though it is kind of stupid to see that there is one guy who just wants to spook out an entire community of people when it's more convenient to kill them, to make a murder mystery. Oh, I just want to see Scooby Doo going into a murder mystery, but no, you can't do that. It's only Detective Conan can do that. But okay, I was just kind of pushing it. I don't want to. I'm not gonna push this kind of envelope. But anyway, because there's still people who like Scooby Doo, and Warner Brothers really love that franchise, they decided to go with the CGI film, in which honestly I didn't think that it looked too bad. There are some things that worries me, but it doesn't worry me as lot as Trolls World Tour. But you know what? I think it is time. I talked too much about my backstory on Scooby Doo. So I got Spencer here. I got my two plushies that are dog enough to accompany me in this movie. I got the Evie and Mila Bassett from Freedom Planet. I got my nachos. I got my Scooby snacks. Okay, chocolate chip cookies. But doesn't matter. Oh, don't worry. I don't think this movie is gonna put me into a coma like the last time. But don't matter. It is time to watch the show. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, play. Did it to me again! Video on demand? And here I am in my pajamas this time, because why not? It's nighttime. So guys, what you thought about Scoob? Well, I'll tell you what I think about Scoob. I am 50-50 on this movie. There's 50 things that there's the 50 that I appreciate and the 50 that I hate it. God, I don't know what. Maybe it's because I'm growing up, and that sucks, of course. And it's technically I kind of hate it when old cartoons are reminding me that you're growing up, now we're going for the new generation. But okay, that's not exactly what this movie does, but it almost tiptoes into it. Oh my god. But I'll give it this, at least for the benefit of the doubt. Comparing to the shitty live-action movies of Scooby Doo, this is probably the better deal. This movie was okay if you wanna put it into the perspective of someone who just wants to have some fun and watch some movies. Yep, you could go with that. I agree. Things are well made, but there's some things that you are a veteran on movies. There's things that you're gonna raise your eyebrows. That's the thing that I had. Let's get this out of the way by saying that one of the things that I appreciate on this is that Scooby as a pup, he looks cute. At least in CGI. He looks cute. I admit that. And some of the voice acting are well done for the most part, but I'll say that Frank Welker voicing Scooby, he does a great job, and I also appreciate Will Forte voicing Shaggy because he does a good job. But The rest of them are middle ground celebrity people who they're trying to voice act, but they don't. But these are, you know, the typical Hollywood thing in which obviously, you know, that there is kind of like a big giant line between actors who are better suited for acting and a voice actor, and it shows. It shows because the only legit voice actor in this movie is Frank Welker. Frank Welker, he is the best. He is one of the most legendary voice actors, and he showed. He actually has his career as a voice actor, not an actor. And the only one who actually does commit to at least try some voice acting is Will Forte as Shaggy. And another thing that I want to get out of the way is that at least I like that they tried to cartoonify a little bit more on the expressions of the franchise, because if you know the franchise, when they go to, you know, to the regular style, like the classic Scooby Doo, they're usually very bland, and sometimes they just they don't stretch, they don't squash, they just have some expressions. Sometimes they go into pratfalls, you know, but mostly in between Shaggy and Scooby, because these are kind of like the most cartoonish character, even in the original series. So you can see why I kind of have more respect to a pup named Scooby Doo, and in a way, Shaggy and Scooby get a clue. And they tried sometimes to do that in some series, although I don't quite remember much. But this one, at least, they managed to cartoonify them a little bit more to make it more appealing, which I respect that. And the animation, of course, is cartoonish. It's cartoonish. It looks good. And these are sometimes things that I appreciate. But where the movie kind of falls, here are some things. The moment that it wants to modernize itself, some of the add-ons that it tried to do, the things that it wanted, the winds of change that it wanted to do. So the jokes. Some jokes are good. Some jokes are things. The pretentiousness that it wants to be mature, but it doesn't. Some of the problems that I have with the movie in personal ways, and the Easter eggs. Boy, that this movie wanted to make Hanna Barbera reunion, but it shies away a little bit too much. So much that I don't think that this movie should have been a Scooby Doo movie. It should have been a Hanna Barbera movie. So what do we get? Warner Brothers trying too hard again to jump in another cinematic universe. Hanna Barbera style. So here's the thing. The movie kind of starts out actually kind of decent. It shows how Shaggy and Scooby meet. Technically, retconning for many people who think about continuity, but don't bother. The continuity of Scooby Doo is as faithful as the Simpsons, but still, it's kind of cute. And I did kind of like the movie wanted to emphasize a little bit why Shaggy needed Scooby, even as a kid. But I wish they could have pulled it a little bit too, a little bit too emotional, instead of, just having, little Shaggy being on the streets, and then different music of how you're lonely, and that seeing people, being together with each other. Yeah, they wanted to kind of make the lazy approach to feel emotional instead of, showing that, for example, maybe Shaggy doesn't have many friends because he is weird, or that he's bullied, or anything. No, they wanted it. I felt that they wanted it. They wanted to rush in that. And of course, yeah, you see on the trailers, you see also that Shaggy and Scooby meet. They idolize this superhero known as Blue Falcon and Dynamite, in which there are also Hanna Barbera creations that spawn off with the Scooby Doo craze. And also they show us that during Halloween they meet Fred, Velma, and Daphne, and they solve a mystery. And they did with the same joke, taking out the mask, and the bad guy said, "And I would have gotten away if it wasn't for those meddling kids and that dog." Although they cut it kind of like that. And then you get a semi faithful representation of the Scooby Doo opening. And this is just the beginning, I'm gonna tell you, in which it shows kind of decent. And then it kind of starts out with the plot. And the plot is that the gang reunites, and they kind of feel like the Mystery Inc. needs to grow up. Instead of going by the band, they want to make it into a business. And then this asshole. What was the name of this this asshole from America Got Talent, I think, Simon Cowell. I don't like this guy. This asshole Simon Cowell, and he plays himself. He says that well, Daphne is social, Fred is muscle, and Velma is smart. And you Scooby and you Shaggy are technically useless. And you know what? In my business, friendship is overrated and all these things. So of course, Shaggy and Scooby are pissed. They go bowling until they're attacked by these robot babies that turns into robot scorpions, and then suddenly they're abducted, quote unquote, by none other than the Blue Falcon and Dynamite. And of course there's a woman who is kind of like their assistant. And I got my issues with these ones, in which I will get to that, because let me tell you at least this thing. Dynamite, Blue Falcon, and this girl are the worst part of the movie. So basically what happened is that they got him because technically they need their help, and these robots, they belong to technically the most iconic Hanna Barbera villain, Dick Dastardly. Yes, Dick Dastardly, without his hat, being a little bit tubby on the cheeks, and he is voiced by, what was this guy? Jason Isaacs. And I got problem with Jason Isaacs in this movie. You want to know it? I'll tell you later. Well, apparently Dick Dastardly, the thing is that he somehow finds out that there's some kind of treasure, which I'll get to that in a while, and he is stealing from all over the world 3 skulls, which are called the Skulls of Cerberus, that is gonna open to something. And one of the key elements is none other than Scooby, because apparently there is a history in which Alexander I had a dog, and that dog is technically the key to the underworld. And by the way, when I mean the underworld, you might think that it's gonna go into Ghostbusters territory and it's gonna be awesome. But you know what? Because producers say, kids film, They don't go technically that far. Oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But technically, that's the plot. That's the plot. We got a team with Dick Dastardly and his robot minions, and if you're wondering about Muttley, oh yeah, I'll get to that. And there is a plot with Shaggy and Scooby, and with the Blue Falcon and Dynamite and this woman, and also of course Fred, Shaggy, and Velma are looking for their friends. That's the plot, the initial plot. All right, guys. I already told you about my feelings on the animation, that it looks fine. Some of the things are fine, so I want to warn you that there are some things that I might try to spoil the movie, but I will do my best to not do it. But I kind of warn you that if something slips, you can take my blame on me, and also you are free to disagree with me with some things, but there are some things about this movie that really kind of nags me in the wrong way. For example, let's just start it with what I think it is probably the worst part of this movie, and that is the Blue Falcon. In this case, the Blue Falcon is voiced by Mark Wahlberg.
What? No.
Yes, it's Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, and you know that Mark Wahlberg, he sometimes can be good, sometimes can be, you know, the what? No guy. I wouldn't bother with this guy if it wasn't for this character. Because what happens is that apparently what happens is that this Blue Falcon is not the Blue Falcon that we know. I saw the show. I saw the crossovers. I grew up with Hanna Barbera, so I kind of know. So here's the thing. This Blue Falcon is the son of the original Blue Falcon. And he comes up as being this full of himself, Bradigan-like guy who he is a guy who is a coward. He acts overconfident to hide that, but a lot of this line it's so annoying that you just wanna say, "Oh, shut the frick up!" And to make it worse, Dynamite also also is tired of his crap. Oh yeah, and Dynamite is played by Ken Jeong, by the way. Which, in a way, it baffles me because if you remember the originals, it's almost like their personalities of the original Blue Falcon and Dynamite, they switch because Dynamite, he is this no-nonsense jackass who he takes everything too seriously. And if you know the kind of like the original, the Blue Falcon was the serious one, and Dynamite was the idiot one. He was loyal but kind of idiotic. But in this case, again, they swapped the roles. It's almost like technically someone gave Dynamite a pill that made him grow up. But for some reason, why do I feel that when Dynamite acts like a loyal idiot, it feels more lovable than a big burly superhero that he's on par to Captain Quark from Ratchet and Clank. And guess what? They also have another sidekick a woman named, what was it, Dee Dee Skies. She's played by Kiersey Clemens. She's an Afro-American woman. And you know what? I don't want to go to that route. But considering where Warner Brothers is trying to do, I don't see what was the point of her. She was just there to kind of become like the most competent of the characters. So she was technically kind of like an add-on most of the time. And she doesn't have an arc. She's a Mary Sue that was just added there to, well, to be kind of like the middle ground between the overly serious Dynamite and the idiotic Blue Falcon. Yeah, but I can tell that now in this generation they wanted to show that these kind of characters matter. But sometimes it's not exactly a good idea, because a character like that it's gonna be technically instantly forgettable, or they just put there because they just want to showcase a lot of, what was it, technically variety on, you know, all the kind of people that they can do that. It's the same problem that I had with the movie Mr. Peabody and Sherman. I know that many people like that movie, but I absolutely hate that movie because in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, instead of having, you know, a story about Mr. Peabody and Sherman, they added this girl that she basically wanted to be kind of like a middle ground to it, but it feels more intrusive than giving a plot or something like that. Yeah. Enough, and with that, I think that I told enough about why I hate that Blue Falcon thing. Dick Dastardly, I already said that I'm not exactly kind of fond of the design that it went through him. But what bothers me a lot about the Dick Dastardly is again Jason Isaacs voicing him, because he doesn't give an effort to give him this phony or cartoonish French accent that the original had. You know, this Dick Dastardly. I do remember that he always had like this kind of voice, kind of like this, you know, the typical pseudo villain. But I still keep some kind of cartoonish French accent. What? You didn't want to offend the French, so you didn't want to. You wanted to make him kind of like a, you know, the stereotypical villain that doesn't do an accent. Yeah. Why didn't you do that when later there is a character that has a Jamaican accent? I'll get to that just in case. I'll get to that. Fred, Velma, and Daphne, yeah, they do their things. I'm not very, you know, exactly, you know, too much into it. Fred had this kind of like mini arc in which he doesn't want to leave the mystery machine. He's kind of in love with the machine more than the movie tries to show us, like in many franchises, that he's in love with Daphne. Velma, I think they made her a little bit Latina, but maybe it's just me, or maybe it's because there's a line that she talks in Spanish. And also Daphne is very sociable, and she kind of befriends one of the Dick Dastardly robots that got treated badly and got replaced with the head of a dust blower. So yeah, technically they're kind of on their own side. They're pretty much, you know. You can't do Scooby Doo movies without Fred, Velma, and Daphne. Oh, but a little bit of a heads up. I am surprised on one thing. You know what? I'll get to that right now. So if you notice, apart from Scooby Doo, they did wanted to put up the Blue Falcon series, and also they wanted to add Dick Dastardly. And like I said, Muttley also is in the movie, but they wanted to make a plot in which Dick Dastardly, I lost Muttley because I'll get to that just in case. But yeah, he's there. But this movie also wanted to show how overly reliant on Hanna Barbera Easter eggs wanted to do. Because sometimes when you kind of turn on one side or another, you kind of notice, like, say, hey, I remember this. Most notably, the one that I mostly remember is that there is a scene on an abandoned amusement park, and there are some arcade machines, and one of them was of course a video game of the Left Olympics, and I think there was another one that I didn't pay attention. I will have given this movie a little bit credit if they actually did an Easter egg or a joke with the banana splits, considering where the banana splits went. Oh man, I remember some horrible movies. And also, yeah, I think you saw it on the trailer that later they go into an island that is full of pterodactyls. That's where they kind of use their Hanna Barbera cartoons, and there is a Coliseum battle with none other than Captain Caveman. Captain Caveman, based by Tracy Morgan, and he does probably his biggest Jamaican accent he can ever give to a caveman. Look, you guys got Frank Welker. Why didn't you get voice actors? Whew. There's some ones that I probably might miss, but the biggest bombastic is, I'm not kidding you. The biggest one that they tried to do is during the credits. During the credits, you're gonna see that apparently this movie wanted to make a Hanna-Barbera reunion, but they were like, no, let's dial up, or else we're gonna have people will think that we're too nostalgic. You got the Blue Falcon, Dastardly, and Captain Caveman in it. Why not do it? I mean, I would like to see kind of like a Hanna-Barbera reunion cartoon. At least not exactly with just Scooby Doo, because he's kind of like the most popular. You know what? Scratch that sometimes. We need more competent people, or else we're gonna end up with the Yogi Bear movie. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Alright. I think that I gotta... okay, what else I can talk about it? Jokes. Some of the jokes were well done. The slapstick is good, I gotta admit that. These are some of the most entertaining things that I had. I will say that there are times in which the movie will go kind of wanted to push itself, but probably my favorite joke is an exchange between Blue Falcon and Shaggy, in which the Blue Falcon is like, okay, we're in trouble. We need something. I know. Let's use your F-bombs. Oh no, this is PG-13. No, F for Falcon. Oh. Yeah, that's the thing. The story, and now for the story, which I kind of barely said, is that, well, it did wanted to make a movie that it wanted to show off the strength of the friendship between Shaggy and Scooby, and that Shaggy and Scooby, in a way, they feel like a duo, but apparently they feel kind of useless on the team. But the one thing that I actually wanted to appreciate about this movie is that they wanted to focus a little bit more on Shaggy, in which, if you kind of notice and kind of in hindsight, most of the things that the mystery does in terms of personalities is that Velma, Fred, and Daphne, they do a lot of the most interesting things, and Scooby Doo is kind of like the key of solving the problems. But Shaggy is technically, when you put it on Scoob, they barely have technically a personality between that differentiate each other, except of one being a human and one being a dog. So they wanted to show that there is indeed something special on Shaggy and something unique that he could do, which they don't go exactly too far, but I like that idea. I like that idea that they wanted to do with him, and then when Scooby kind of realizes that he is the key, and then let's say that the Blue Falcon turns him into a superhero, and Shaggy is left behind because they think that he's useless. I like that part of the arc, but of course. It doesn't help, of course, that it was. But of course, I have to deal, with the dynamic between the Blue Falcon and Dynamite, which again, I hated that thing. And one of the things that I wanted that the movie could go through is that they later established that. That Dick Dastardly, in his evil ways, they do wanted to show him that he is also technically human, because one of the things that we remember from the old cartoons is that he's basically a two-dimensional evil. He's two-dimensionally evil, and in a way that made us laugh. But bringing him a little bit of humanity into him, it was something that I wish they could have done it more. For example, it is revealed that he does want to collect, the three server skulls, and then because when he collects all these three magical items, they kind of open the world, the door to hell, the door to the underworld, and the key to open the door is none other than Scooby, because of the legend of Alexander the First and his dog. But I like that they wanted to go on a little bit on his quote-unquote human side, in which he tried it out at first because there's treasure there, and he did it with Mudley. But of course, because he's dastardly, he ordered Mudley to get into that portal to the underworld where the treasure is. But when Mudley got in there, he managed to go in with the treasure, but unfortunately he couldn't come out because of the underworld and all these things. And then of course the portal to hell closes, and in a Dick Dastardly way, you see him that he genuinely cares for Mudley, and there's a moment that it shows that he does. They both care for each other, but they didn't go too much that way. And why I'm feeling that I'm liking that part more, why I'm caring more for the villain than the superhero like Blue Falcon and Dynamite. And the girl. I was actually thinking about forgiving a lot about this movie, despite from what I said. But, of course, that it is later that, during the climax of the movie, that I begin to notice where some of the cheap shot goes. And yeah, most of it is emphasizes a lot when they reach that dinosaur island. But at this point, you know what? I'm gonna go into giant spoilers because I need to at least blurt it out. So technically Dick Dastardly managed to capture Scooby and leave the, all the characters on the island because, well, he destroys the Blue Falcon ship. And then Shaggy, he begins to monologue, giving a speech about that he should have accepted, the changes of life, and that Scooby was gonna change, and that because no matter when things change, friendship doesn't change. Even though, here's the thing that I do have a problem now with a lot of the cartoons that are going through, and when they're going for this new generation, is that many people are saying that change is good. You must accept change. Say there's the change, everything change. Yes, I get it. Life changes, things changes. But you know what? They're not always good. Not everything that changes is good. And sometimes when things physically changes, should not be. Not everything should change. We should never accept physical changes. We should never accept changes that about progress, because one thing, we progress enough at the moment. But this is me trying to take the neutral side. The things that should be changed should be here, on what we perceive, on the humanity, on how we perceive, how we look at people. So pretty much when they're talking about that we're gonna change things up, we're gonna change to the new generation because time has changed. Times have changed. Well, we are into that. Yeah, I agree. I understand that you're trying to say, people, don't worry, we're changing, but we're gonna still the same. But at that point, I find it more like an excuse more than a legit thing. And well, continuing on, Dick Dastardly and Scooby goes to Athens, and then the door to the underworld appears because of the three skulls MacGuffins, and of course it opens, and you think they kind of build it up the same that they open the door but doesn't realize the things that are that's gonna unleash. And you might be thinking, oh, bats, demons, they're gonna swarm everything. What do you think it is? What do you think it is? A movie that wanted to take itself seriously? Nope. The only thing that comes out is a three-headed dog, the Cerberus. And no demons, no hellish creatures, no nagas. You know what? I'm thinking more of a Shin Megami Tensei person more than someone who doesn't want to scare the little audience. Oh my god, I'm feeling like sometimes making me growing up makes me feel more cynical. Okay, so yeah, we get that Dick Dastardly enters, finds a treasure, and he finds Muttley and all these things. There is actually a very funny scene in which the mystery machine is destroyed, and Fred is the most depressed of them all. He just kind of watches the mystery machine like it was, no, my son is dead. And so he just, and of course he just go full on macho man. He takes the front rear shield. He takes it he takes the part of the mystery machine as a shield. He even puts on his trademark orange bandana with his necktie. He goes, charge! And he fails. Actually, that one I give it a kind of like a laugh out of it. But of course we get kind of like a lame ass moment in which the Blue Falcon and Dynamite kind of make amends, still being annoying, and then of course And then, of course, while Scooby and Shaggy distracts the Cerberus, Velma, Fred, and Daphne kind of try to solve the riddle, the convenient riddle that says how to close the door to the underworld. And it's so convenient, let me tell you. That moment is so convenient because it has kind of like the words love, friendship, and all these things. Because damn. You know, at this point, the words friendship and love shouldn't be, shouldn't exactly be, you know, the cheap shot. Especially when you're talking about some ancient relic or something like that. Unless it comes up, you know, something important or something like that. And then, of course, I kind of like that it wanted to increase their stakes, saying that in order to close the door to the underworld, another one has to be on the other side. So basically, one has to stay inside. Kind of remind me of that Kingdom Hearts situation, in which it does something with Shaggy, which kind of shows up some good moments, but then it's kind of ruined with a cheap shot. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I call in bullshit. And of course, Dick Dastardly and Mudley are captured. They make kind of like a double mask, in which technically the villain was our quote-unquote Simon Cowell. And then, of course, they turn the Mystery Inc. They make a business in, I think, Valencia. They had a building, and then, of course, credits rolls. You know, for a movie that, again, for a movie that talks about changes, I feel like, again, it's an excuse at that moment. And so, I don't want to be too harsh on the movie. Like I said, I 50-50 on it. I like some things. I don't like some things. Some things I appreciate. I appreciate what they wanted to do. There are some things that I don't appreciate. There are some things that they went to, you know, kind of like the easy route on you know, for a family film. So, in a way, I do recommend it, but please wait until the price of rent is low, because these are kind of like the real Dick Dastardlies of Hollywood. Because, man, $20, I don't think this movie was worth $20 on it. Well, I did have my fun. I think it was okay. Maybe younger audiences will appreciate it if you don't think about it too hard. I try not to think about it too hard, but I sometimes overanalyze things. But you know what? But with that saying, I'm gonna end up by saying, Scooby Dooby Doo!
Welcome, punch!